Good morning, everybody. And what a beautiful day it is, because you know something? We're ahead of the game this morning because we're breathing and we're alive. So this morning, we're going to be talking about, are your emotions healthy for you or are they killing you? Well, let's explore what emotions are. Emotions are not intellect. They have nothing to do with it. They're completely disconnected from that. It has to do with your inner self, your inner being. Like when you watch a movie, for example, and, it's got a touching scene and there's something, you start to cry or something like that. Emotions are a release of energy. And sometimes I'm watching a movie and I myself even start to cry. But that's good because you're releasing something that has triggered a memory or an engram, which at some point I'll get into what an engram is, with nothing positive about an engram, by the way. It's something that goes into your brain. It comes from past trauma. It doesn't mature. I'm not going to go through that today because it's a little bit too in-depth. I'll get to that at another point. But if your emotions, if you're running your life by purely emotions, well, then you're on a perpetual roller coaster, because emotions have no ballast. Your intellect is the captain of the ship. So we intellectualize things in order to keep things straight in our lives. Our emotions are what give us that ebb and flow of how we feel and all those sort of things. Now, if you allow your emotions to control your life, it will be detrimental to your health, because it will affect you biologically, not just intellectually, not just emotionally, but also biologically. So like I like to say, if there's no profit in something, why endeavor in it? And so let's take anger, for example. That's an emotion. People get angry, so where's the profit in being angry? First of all, the people that you might be angry at don't really care if you're angry at them, because they wouldn't have done what they did in order for you to become angry. So it's a waste of your time. It's not profitable. It's a debit card, basically. Anger is a debit card. And what does anger affect? Anger really goes directly to your liver. And we know that our liver is the most prevalent organ that we have. Without the liver, nothing that we do, by the way, would be healthy, because everything would be poisonous to our biosystem. So when you're angry, you're actually putting a load on your liver, and you're damaging that liver, and you're making that liver work harder. So anger is not an emotion that is healthy for you in your life. People get pissed off at me all the time because I don't get angry. And that pisses them off because I don't get angry. And you know what? Look, I'd rather have things roll off my back, because the bottom line is, when we get frustrated, that's an emotion. When we are sad, that's an emotion. When we feel depressed, that's an emotion. When we feel anger, once again, that's an emotion. And like I said, anger, depression, all of these things come from your emotions. And the real key here is, are we thinking through why we feel this way? And most people aren't. We're just acting on the emotion. And when you just act on the emotion, you don't stand a chance, because the emotion will take over. If you don't reel it back into the intellect and say, why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this way? Why am I angry? Why am I depressed? Why am I sad? Well, guess what? It's not always about it being in your head, by the way. There's a gut-brain reaction. And if your lifestyle is not healthy, your brain's not going to function. If your lifestyle is not healthy, you're going to tend to be more emotional than you are intellectual. And when I say intellectual, I don't mean, being a book scholar or a rocket scientist or a physicist or anything like that. I'm just talking about being a regular human being that actually can temper those emotions. It's always better to respond than it is to react. When we react, we most often regret the things we say or the things we do. When we respond, it means that we have thought about the circumstance. We have gone through the process of making sure that we understand that. And then 9 out of 10 times you wouldn't respond at all to a person, as opposed to just coming off the cuff and reacting. So these things can really throw you into a tizzy. How many times have you woken up in the morning And that first phone call you get, or the first email you read, or the first thing you see on Facebook, does it throw you into an emotional rage? Does it throw you into an emotional depression? Does it throw you into an emotional fixation of some sort that dilutes the joy and the happiness that you could be having that morning? So, if you bring back your emotions into your intellect and you think about these things, then you have a greater chance of controlling your emotions. You see, the intellect is what controls those emotions. If you control those emotions with your intellect, you're going to be a much happier camper. By the way, not just happy in the mind, but you're going to be happier in the body. Remember, if you have anger, for example, and it goes right to the liver, then the liver's not functioning at its maximum because it's dealing with this anger issue. So that emotion, it's good. You know, I learned a lot, by the way, from my ducks, all right? So I noticed the ducks, will get out there and then they'll start flapping their wings like this and quacking. Well, I did some looking into this. And you know what? When they're doing this, they're releasing energy. They have all this energy and they're releasing it. And that's what you could do. You could do that. Maybe you're not going to flap your wings or whatever, but just realize that emotions are an energy, and it's a release of that energy. And that releasing of the energy is a healthy thing. So the crying is good, all that sort of stuff. It's all good for you, but you can't hold on to it. You can't hold that grudge. You can't hold that emotional sentiment. You have to bring it back into the intellect, and you have to really realize that, hey, this is just an emotion. What's precipitating this emotion? What's the trigger that brought on this emotion? Once you start to intellectually look at what triggered the emotion, then you could start to understand your emotions better. Once you start to understand your emotions better, you're going to be a lot healthier, a lot happier. You're going to be less angry, less frustrated, less depressed, all those sort of things. Now, that's the beginning. When people talk about health programs, hey, take a pill, and you're going to lose weight. Take a pill and you're going to jump around. No, it doesn't work that way. It's all junk. It's a fraud. You've got to really take responsibility for yourself and your own emotions. And remember, if you're too emotional around other people, they're going to start pulling away from you, because emotions are the unpredictable factor in our lives. You never know when someone's going to go off. I was watching the news last night, and I was seeing this a woman at the JetBlue counter, and she freaked out. I don't know how many of you people saw that, but boy, that's a pure example of an emotion gone wild. What happens? She gets arrested. Why? Not because they want to arrest her, but because they're fearful, one, for themselves, because she's acting out in a way that is scary. And the police come and they put handcuffs on her. Why? Not because they want to put handcuffs on her, but because she's unpredictable in her emotional state. So these emotional states can really end you up in jail. They can end you up in handcuffs. They can make people run away from you. Continuity and consistency is what's really important, and that comes from the intellect. So if you utilize your intellect to temper your emotions, you're going to be a lot better off. Well, I hope this tip on emotions helps you out. I'm going to get into a thing called engrams at some point. And these are things that come about by past trauma. And boy, once I explain that to you, because, as you listen to this kind of stuff, as you hear this kind of stuff, hopefully it resonates within you. And you go, oh, now I understand that. Now I get that. Oh, yeah. But when you're involved in the emotion yourself, you're not going to be able to determine what's happening with that emotion. Take that emotion. As a matter of fact, do an exercise today. Go through your day. When an emotion comes about, instead of reacting to the emotion, or instead of getting lost in the abyss of that emotion, try this today. Pull it back into your intellect and ask yourself, okay, what is it about this that's making me emotional? And a lot of times people find out, once they start to process this exercise, that it's not the moment. It's not the activity that's happening at the moment that is making them emotional. It's something that came from the past in their own lives that is triggering the emotion. So, as you can see, there's a lot to explore when it comes to that. Now, since it's 2019 and it's January, it's the beginning of the year, I feel compelled because, boy, I've been on this Facebook thing and I've been watching what's going on. And I need to clarify a few things that are really going to be important to your health in 2019. Remember something. This is what I do for a living. This is what I've done for the past 30-some years. I didn't just come on board last week or last month or get a business card made up and said, this is who I am. I've been doing this a long, long time. I've been sharing with people for decades, and I've been producing some of the finest products for decades. Now, I need to explain this to you. So tomorrow's topic, I'm going to leave you off on Friday with, do you really know what you're buying regarding your health care? Do you know what you're buying regarding your health care? Who's real, who's not? And I'm going to explore that with you so that you'll have a discerning eye when it comes to 2019 and anything that you utilize or think about or contemplate, because I get the question every day. People send me stuff every day. You know, not necessarily the physical product, but they send me, hey, Rick, can you tell me about this product? Is it real or is it too good to be true? And unfortunately, I'd love to be able to come back to people and say, hey, it's great. But 9 out of 10 times, and maybe 9.5 out of 10 times, it is too good to be true and it's junk. So I need to clarify a few things and tell you what the separation and what the difference is. So tomorrow, Friday, very, very important. It's a wake-up call for all of you for 2019, because stop wasting year after year after year on things that don't work. Because the truth is, you did not fail. That's the thing. You didn't fail. All of these companies, these products, these salespeople have failed you. And it's time that no one fails you again. I'll never fail you because, look, I'm not here to try to make a buck. Yes, money makes the world go round, but it doesn't make my world. It just helps support and supplement and sustain things like this that I do for free, and many other things out in the community that I do for free in all my charitable endeavors. So, tomorrow, very important. I'm going to break it down. It's a wake-up call, and I want you all to get it. So, until then, let your intellect control your life. Let your emotions be a sense of expression and release for you. And don't let the emotions take over and get lost in that abyss of emotions. And throughout your day today, try this exercise. When something hits an emotional chord with you, bring it back to your intellect and analyze it and say, why am I feeling emotional about this? Is it a healthy emotion? Or is it a negative emotion? Is it an emotion that's going to affect my energy levels? Is it an emotion that's going to affect my will to want to go forward and push ahead in 2019? Is it one that makes me depressed or makes me feel sad or that makes me angry? Anyway, I hope you got benefit out of this. And if you did get value out of it, please do this. Press click, 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 comment, share, all this other stuff. Because you want to know something? There might be a person right there, right now, that when you click on it, it goes to their wall or page or whatever it is. They might be struggling with an emotional abyss that they're in right now. And it might just pull them out. Because guess what? Your emotions are all attached to things that have happened usually in your past. And there's nothing that you can do about it unless you intellectually bring it back home and analyze why you're feeling this way. And then we'll get into more of these things. And I hope these things help you, because this is all part of being healthy biologically. All right? So anyway, have a great morning. Enjoy yourselves. And don't fall into the emotional abyss. Bring it back into your intellect. Analyze it. And then you'll see that, gee, you know what? What am I getting angry about? What am I feeling sad about? Why am I depressed? Okay? You got it? All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Comment, click, all this other stuff. Appreciate it very much. Thank you, and see you tomorrow about 7:30.